Hey, this is Lou Mangello from WDW Radio, and you're listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's do this.
The Tangents we continue all the way to episode 398 of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. I wish for fairy tale life, and it's all gone terribly wrong. Or terribly right. Welcome everyone to this week's episode of the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. So glad you joined us. Let's start off like a direct with virtual table and see who's joined us this week.
This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City.
This is Holly from Wisconsin.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
I desperately just want to break into song, but I can't carry a tune like Giselle. So I'm going to try to control myself.
And my voice would kill me if I tried. So
Yeah.
apologies up front. I'm fighting off a cold, but I am here because I really like. Well, anyway, I really wanted to talk about these movies.
Yeah. That and Chrissy really wanted to hear about my weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We got to live vicariously through the pictures. Now we want deets.
Yep. Like we need details.
Tell me more. That's much longer.
Well, thankfully we don't have a whole lot of news, so we'll get to my weekend really quickly.
Yay!
So first up, couple of trailers. Disney decided that we needed some early Christmas presents for movies that are not due out for like another 6-7 months.
As I understand it was at Brazil Comic-Con, I think.
Something like that.
And
yeah,
all of these
came
from that.
Random like Ant-Man feature from Brazil Comic-Con. Like, okay. Sure, why not? Anyway, so we've got our first look at, and we have the name, so we can no longer call it Indiana Jones 5. We now have a full title and a trailer. It's Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Indy is back.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he ever really went anywhere, but
no.
He is back, and so is Sarah. That made me very happy to see Joey Davis in the trailer. I'm like, yes, Sarah!
Yes.
For all of the Crystal Skull's faults, I rank not including Sala in that movie among the highest. So at least this one is getting that right.
Yeah, that is true. What's really wild. Short little tangent here. What's really wild is when Chauncey first asked me out, when he finally get the nerve to approach me and ask me out, his intention was for us to go and see Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh my.
Which we did. That was not our first date. That was like our second date. We went on a date where we could actually talk to each other first before going to. I've always found first dates in a movie really weird because you can't talk to each other. You need to save that for not the first date. So we had a first date where we could actually talk to each other, and then decided a second date was going to happen. Then that's when we went and saw Indiana Jones, and it's so funny because it's like that's the first movie we ever saw together, and now 15 years later we're finally getting the next one.
Yeah,
because we'll have been together 15 years by the time this movie comes out.
So it kind of tells you all you need to know about Indy 4.
Yes.
Not to be a
So it's like
downer, but it's
yeah. Everyone's like, Harrison Ford is so old now. I'm like, well, yeah, because they waited 15 years in between movies.
Yes.
They complained that he was old in the last one. So
exactly.
Yeah. And it took him 15 years to get the script in the condition that it's in. So fingers crossed, it's a damn good script.
Yeah. We can only hope.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, it looks like it's going to be fun. But we shall see. It looks like maybe they're acknowledging, like, not just Crystal Skull, but some of the other weird stuff, like with Ark and all that, where, it's like Indy has always tried to be a man of academic and science and archaeology and things steeped in reality, but at this point he's getting to the age where he's like, I've seen some shit and it can't all be explained with science.
It's like no, you don't believe in magic. Tell that to the face melted Nazis, huh?
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, I'm all for melting the faces of Nazis, but at the same time, that's not just something you can explain away with, like, well, Einstein's theory of relativity says,
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. So, for better or worse, India's back. And at the very least, Chauncey and I will be there just to complete the circle, I guess. 15 years later, this is how we're going to celebrate our 15th anniversary.
I'll have to look up what anniversary the 15th is.
Yeah. No.
I doubt it's the long overdue movie sequel anniversary, but whatever.
I don't think so. That's okay. And then we got our trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Hot off the tail of the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special.
Which I watched last night, and that was ridiculously fun.
It is. It's like, I mean, it's very much Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like, it's so ridiculous because the characters are ridiculous, but it totally works and still fits within the MCU. And someone give Kevin Bacon a big old slap on the back for being such a good sport.
I just looked up what the 15th wedding anniversary gift was. You're gonna laugh. It's Crystal.
Okay then.
Yep, it's Crystal.
That's hilarious.
As long as an alien skull, you're good.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have to celebrate with some Crystal Head vodka.
There you go.
There Perfect. You go. You're welcome, Dan Aykroyd.
Back to the Guardians.
Yeah, back to the Guardians. That's hilarious. So back to the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the
Bucky's
Guardians
missing an arm again.
Yeah. Back to Guardians Volume 3, where I'm sure some of Guardians Volume 3 will pick up some of the plot threads that were given to us in the holiday special. So, but yeah, it looks. I mean, compared to the other Guardians, this looks more serious.
Plus, I think we get more
we're obviously
backstory.
We're still dealing with the fallout from the snap and everything. And the fact that there's a Gamora running around out there, but it's not the Gamora that Peter Quill fell in love with and they all knew from the very first movie. So it looks like we're gonna get a bit more backstory on some of our characters, including Rocket and the little baby Rocket. And apparently there's an otter in the Guardians now, which, oh my god, I love otters. So
that's gonna be so much fun.
If memory serves from
whenever we get I'm gonna need a plush. If there's a plush, I need that. It'll go right next to Morris. So
yeah, this one definitely, it kind of has that feel of this is the trilogy, Guardians trilogy, and this is it, because
I mean, it's
from
gonna have to be for a while now
Yeah.
that James Gunn has moved over to DC. So
yeah, that's true. So this is kind of the well, and I think some of the actors' contracts are up too, and
oh yeah, yeah,
they may or may not renew them,
yeah.
or yeah. So this is probably it. Which the Guardians they've had, they've been the one out of the Marvel characters consistently good of their standalone movies. So
Hmm.
Godspeed to them.
Yeah. So, and I look forward to updating my ultimate awesome mix playlist with lots more good music. Speaking of which, I need to add the Christmas songs to my Christmas playlist. Although some of those I already had on my Christmas playlist, but at the very least, James Gunn knows how to give us an earworm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really it. But we are in a new month. Believe it or not, we're already 5 days into December. Christmas is in less than 3 weeks.
Yep.
So that means the final book club update of 2022.
Mm-hmm. Well, the book for this month is an audiobook. It's The Blood on Santa's Claws. Rachel, you will be happy. This is a compilation with the Fifth Doctor. The book choices for January's book are Demons of the Red Lodge, which is an audiobook, Shroud of Sorrow, excuse me, Legend of Camelot, and A World of Demons, Villains of Doctor Who, which is kind of a compilation of essays of all the monsters and or bad guys that the Doctor has run across. I'm in the middle of reading that one right now, and that's actually pretty darn good. So
Cool.
I thought I'm going to toss that on the list. So those are your choices.
Mm-hmm. Awesome sauce. So, all right, moving on to my weekend. How I'm upright is beyond me. I've been home for 24 hours. Oh my goodness. So yeah.
And your voice is sounding pretty dang good there, Rachel.
Oh, thanks. I don't know how I managed that. Probably the
Very
nap I
lucky.
took in the car ride home probably helped. Let Chauncey drive. I tried to make sure that I didn't push myself too hard. So I went to GalaxyCon in Columbus, Ohio over the weekend. I did most of my posting on our Instagram, which fed into our Twitter and into our Facebook. So if you're following us on either of these, you should have seen my pictures. Although I also have way more pictures that I just need. I'll make an album on our Facebook page. For those folks that are not friends with me on Facebook. So, but yeah, this weekend. Okay, so I first caught wind of this particular con because I had not realized it until fairly recently that I had actually been to a GalaxyCon, because it was a GalaxyCon event that I went to in Louisville, where I met Christopher Eccleston and Dave Bautista. But I only drove down and just went for the day and, met them. And that was like my ultimate goal. And then I went home. So this was my, opportunity to experience GalaxyCon on a bigger, longer schedule. But I just caught wind of it because I saw it came up on my Facebook feed as something I might be interested in. I have no idea why the algorithm might think that. When they announced that Jodie Whittaker was going to be at the con, I was like, oh crap, outgoing, the Doctor on, by the time this event happens, she'll regenerate, so she'll be the most recent Doctor. She hasn't done a whole lot of US conventions yet, if any. So I was like, well, that's an opportunity. And then they started announcing more guests and more guests. And I was like, oh crap, this is going to become a very involved and kind of expensive, but
Yeah.
weekend. And I got to the point where like, okay, yeah, I'm going to need to make a whole weekend out of this. So it's like I ended up having to book a hotel and all this stuff. And then Chauncey came with me, even though he never even set foot in the convention. He took advantage of having the car to go. There's a big like computer parts store in Columbus that he wanted to go to.
And
that's how he geeked out over the weekend.
Plus you got to meet a couple of friends of the show.
That too. So it's like it just became this whole thing where I was like, okay, so I'm just gonna, and because unlike PopCon or Gen Con, where yes, I'm a fan, but I usually attend those as press, so I'm also kind of working on behalf of us and the Five-ish Fangirls. This time I was I paid for a badge. I paid for the we paid for the hotel room. So this was more of I'm just going to be a fangirl for 3 days.
It wasn't a working woman's holiday.
No, it wasn't. This was pure geekery for just 3 days straight. So we got there Friday afternoon because the convention didn't start until 2:00 on Friday, so we were able to get up and drive to Columbus in the morning. Checked in the hotel, unloaded our crap. Chauncey went to move the car to park it because we just pulled up to unload the car, and John Delancey was checking into our hotel as Chauncey was moving the car. So hey, I never saw him in the hotel, but Chauncey did. So I'm like, hey, cool, that's awesome. So then I went and got my badge and my swag because I got the deluxe badge.
Nice.
Which the swag bag was nice. The folder came in really handy.
I bet.
For holding photos and stuff so they didn't get smushed. The bag itself is really big and like really tall, and one of the items that I'm collecting signatures on is still actually longer than the bag, but it was nice to have that to carry around. But in general, I can't say that the price difference for the deluxe really was worth the cost, because the other stuff like there's a lanyard, there was a pin, there's some exclusive comic books, which if I was a big comic book reader might be more exciting, but it's kind of lost on me. So other than the bag and the folder, I can't say that going deluxe was worth the money, especially because we booked a hotel room in their hotel block. I automatically got their version of Fast Pass, which allowed me to use the VIP lines for all the autograph tables and the photo ops. So I could have saved some money and not done the deluxe badge, and I don't think I would have missed a whole lot because I got the Fast Pass from my hotel booking. It had nothing to do with the badge, so I'm gonna have to keep that in mind for future endeavors, unless they change the perks that come with the different badge types.
Right.
But at this particular venture, it didn't seem like I got my money's worth, I think, as far as the badge was concerned. But anyway, so I went, got my badge and all that fun stuff. And I was in, regular nerdy clothes. I was in a pair of leggings and a shirt that my mother-in-law got me for Christmas years ago. They happen to be her universe and they're Star Wars. So I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna meet Ashley Eckstein, this is kind of appropriate to wear. And then I have my denim vest that's got a whole bunch of nerdy pins and patches and stuff on it. So So the Deaf Door and I went and got in line for Ashley. And still had to wait a little bit, but she's very popular. So I was fine with that because I still didn't have to wait as long as the people that were in the non-VIP line. So, it's I treated it a lot like back in the day when Disney still had regular Fast Pass.
Mhm.
The OG Fast Pass, where essentially you just stood in a shorter line, didn't have all the switch, they don't have the switchbacks and stuff. But it doesn't mean you don't have to wait at all. It just means you don't have to wait as long as everybody else. So it's a minimal wait compared. So that's what I was, that's how I was assessing how it was working. And with that, I was totally fine. Unfortunately, there was some guy that apparently thought that he should just be able to skip to the front of the line and threw a hissy fit. And those of us that were standing there listening to him go on his tirade were all like, whatever, dude. So the lady working the booth, she let him have his say and then just moved on. So
Back in the line with you, please, sir.
yeah. It's like, you're special, but you're not special.
Yes.
Yeah.
To go with a certain meme that's been floating around the internet with a certain backer.
Yeah, exactly. So but eventually it got to my turn, so I got to meet Ashley. She's super, super nice. It's her working these events, I guess, obviously, like, schedule permitting, it's very much a family thing for her. Like, her husband was there, but he had to take off to go do something or grab something. I don't know what. I don't, who knows. And then both of her parents sit there as her handlers at the table. Her mother, they could be twins if it wasn't for the age difference. She is the spitting image of her mother.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she is. So I even said that to her, and her mom was like, "You're my new best friend."
Brownie points with mom, always the best.
Yep. So I had a nice talk with Ashley. I name dropped Lou, because we both know Lou Mangello. She's like, "Oh, I love Lou." When I told her, it's like, obviously Ahsoka Tano, iconic Star Wars character now, and an important character, especially for the little girl Star Wars fans. But I also told her, how much I love what she's doing with, creating her universe and, the ability to have geeky clothing that's made for us girls. So we're not just wearing, like, unisex t-shirts. Because that was all that was really available for the longest time. And the fact that they make stuff where, on first glance, you don't necessarily realize that it's geeky. Right. So if you're trying to be a little more geeky on the DL,
it works.
There's a lot of brands out there that are doing that. Obviously some of it's not on the DL. The shirt I was wearing flat out said, it didn't say Star Wars on the front. Actually, it has an outline of Yoda that says "Master Yoga, you must."
Oh, nice.
So, and she recognized the shirt I was wearing and knew how old it was.
Oh wow!
So, she knows her merchandise. So. She was like, "That was one of my favorite shirts when we released it." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So yeah, well, I had a lovely talk with her. She was super, super nice, talking about what it's, being a geek these days, especially as a girl, and all sorts of stuff. And then I paid to do the selfie with her, and she ended up taking like 7 or 8 pictures
Aw.
with my phone. She just took my phone from me, very, very much like John Barrowman did when I met him back in the day. It just started snapping away photos.
Oh, nice.
And what's funny is if you go to our Facebook page, I shared a video because GalaxyCon posted a day one wrap up on, at the start of day 2. Like, here's some of the stuff that happened yesterday. I'm in there 3 different times in that video, and one of them is a shot of Ashley, me leaning into Ashley while she's taking the selfies.
Oh, nice.
So look for Ashley, and
Look
you
for
will
you.
see that's me in the duff door, right there with her, taking some photos.
Nice.
So, and then I had her sign her book. Actually, she's got a couple books out now, but this is a book that she released several years ago. Kind of, it's part autobiography, parts kind of self improvement type thing. It's called It's Your Universe. You have the power to make it happen.
I have that one and I read it. It's really good.
Yeah. I told her, I was like, flip through it. I've got post-it notes. I've got spots where it's highlighted and stuff. I've defaced it essentially. With the flipping through it, all the page. Some of the pages are getting bent and stuff because the book is on the older side. So
it is well loved and well used.
Yes. So, but yeah, she signed the inside cover for me. Yeah, I bought this back in 2018. So, so that was a lot of fun. And then I went and changed clothes. Got out of my civvies and put on my Time Buster cosplay, and I ran to go do what's really cool is they do multiple different type of cosplay contests. So they did a runway costume contest. So, and it's very loose on what you can wear. So it's like whether it's store-bought or you made it yourself, they don't really care, because like whether you made it and like the construction and stuff, they're not too concerned about. They're more concerned about the look and how much fun you're having wearing it. Type thing. They do an after hours, more adult cosplay contest for the folks that like to maybe do a little sexier or maybe scarier cosplays that maybe aren't appropriate for the little kids. They have a kids costume contest. They have a masquerade where they encourage doing like little skits or performances or whatever on top of just that goes with the costume. And then they have the big cosplay contest where they're really concerned about things like construction and sewing and different materials and that sort of thing. And that's where they give out like the big money prizes and the big trophies and the stuff like that. So the runway cosplay contest, I was like, well, that seems more laid back and more my speed. So I was like, I'll sign up for that. So I did. So I got in my Time Buster and went to the room where they were holding it and got in line till it was my turn to go up on stage. And there were some really good cosplays in this contest. I mean, we probably had, I don't know, 20 entries, 20, maybe 30 entries. So not huge, but still a decent amount for Friday night. Early Friday evening, because it was 6:00 on a Friday. There were some really good costumes in there. So they call us up one at a time, and the guy emceeing, he was really cool, and he's like, what's your name, what are you dressed as, is there anything you want to particular point out or mention about this costume? Some people are like, yeah, I made this over like 2 days. Like, okay, there was a guy that the guy that won first place, took the top prize, was dressed as what is it, Paul Atreides from Dune, the new Dune.
Okay.
Yeah.
But he made his costume like right after like the movie was released or the trailer was released, and he didn't have like a whole lot of reference images to base off of. So, but it looked really cool. It was really awesome. So, but yeah, so I won one of the Judges' Choice Awards,
Nice.
which I totally was not expecting. So I got to go up on stage and hang out while they gave out the rest of the awards. I got this really, really, really nice medal.
Cool.
That is metal and heavy as hell.
It looks like it from the picture.
It is a really, really nice medal. So this is
after being like, hey, here's a cosplay contest, I'm gonna go enter it.
Yeah, I would say this is a really nice medal for like a cosplay contest that doesn't have like an entry fee or anything. The fact that this is like the same medal they give out at all the contests. So that's really nice that they're like, oh, this is like the cosplay contest where people don't necessarily make their own costumes, so we're just going to give them something cheaper. No, they give us all the same very quality medal regardless of which contest we are in. So that was really, really cool. Hopefully there'll be official pictures at some point, because all I really have right now are the few shots of me in that day one recap video. The other 2 shots of me are from the contest. But I know there were people there taking official photos on behalf of the convention, so I'm hoping that those will be posted somewhere at some point so I could see those, I hope. So, and then at that point I was starving. I was like, let's go find food. So we went back to the hotel room, put back on regular clothes. We went to dinner. We were joined by our friend Al, who, if you might know him, if you follow him on Instagram, as Hangover Luke, where he has different variations of, what's his face from The Hangover that ends up with the baby strapped to his front, which he does that, but then he has versions. So on Friday he was in his Ghostbuster where he has Slimer attached to his front in the baby Bjorn. And then he does a Hangover Luke where it's a Porg attached in the baby Bjorn. So he has several different versions, so you can go follow him on Instagram as the Hangover Luke. But yeah, we went and had dinner, and sat and talked Star Wars for quite a while. And then I fell into bed because I was just absolutely exhausted. I'd been up since 6:30 that morning, so I was like, I need sleep. As much as I wanted to go to some of the after hours stuff, I'm like, I can't stay awake. And I knew the next day was going to be very busy. So Saturday, up bright and early, get back in the Time Buster costume, of course. And thankfully I was in a hotel that was literally attached to the convention center. So I was like, you just have to go and take the little tunnel across and downstairs and voila.
Nice.
Yes, always nice. So, and I got there like 5, maybe 10 minutes after 10. Doors opened at 10, and it was a madhouse. Absolutely just packed full of people, because Saturdays generally are like the busiest day for most conventions. That's usually when the big cosplay contest is. You can almost guarantee that most of the celebrities are going to be there. So in this case, Jodie Whittaker was only going to be there on Saturday. I believe Kevin Smith was also only going to be there on Saturday. So you had a couple of celebrities. It's like, if you want to meet these people, this is your chance. So come and get it. So I get in line for Jodie. Of course, I get in the VIP line, which was still super long. But it moved at a pretty decent pace because Jodie, she was trying to be as friendly as possible, but also efficient as possible as far as signing autographs and trying to get through, people as possible. Because the thing with GalaxyCon is a lot of the celebrities, you can actually pre-purchase your autograph, not just a photo op. So they have some idea of how many people are going to show up wanting autographs. And that doesn't even count the people that are just going to show up and pay cash right there and then, So, but yeah, Jodie, she was super sweet. I got up, my turn. I have my TARDIS police box, the sign on the telephone that's on the front of the TARDIS, pull open, that I've been collecting signatures on for quite a while now. So she signed that. She's absolutely adorable. She was a little distracted because she was keeping track of the US versus Netherlands game from the World Cup.
Uh-huh.
She was rooting for the USA. She was wearing a US soccer scarf. But yeah, she was the person would be like, they just scored, and she'd be like, oh, because like the Netherlands was scoring, she'd be like, oh crap. But still, she was super adorable. And then I went and found Charles Skaggs and his wife, who had arrived and were in line to make sure they got a seat for Jodie's Q&A. So I got to meet Charles and his wife, and we stood and chatted for a little bit. And they asked me if I wanted to join them, and I was like, I'd love to, but I have my John Barrowman photo and it's at the same time. But they, I saw them afterwards and they were like, oh, Jodie, her Q&A was just wonderful. I actually ran into Carl from PopCon later in the day, and he's like, yeah, I caught the beginning and the end of hers, and she was super, super great. Her Q&A was just fabulous. So hopefully there'll be video or something somewhere, because apparently Jodie was just her Q&A was just really, really good. So, but I went and got my photo with John Barrowman because we didn't get a chance to have a proper professional photo last time I saw him, all the way back when I saw him in Cincinnati, because that was also the convention where Chauncey and I met Stanley. And that took up most of the day because the line for Stanley was super, super long, even for photos. So I just done the selfies with John, the previous interaction. I already had his autograph, so I didn't need to get that either, but I wanted a proper photo. So, and he's John Barrowman. I mean, if you know John Barrowman, all I gotta say is he was John Barrowman, and you know exactly what I was talking, what I'm talking about. So unfortunately, I did not realize, or they had not put it in the schedule yet when I bought my photo op, that his photo op later in the day was when he was going to be in costume or in cosplay. Yeah. So this was just John in regular clothing, but that's okay because he's still John Barrowman, and I got a nice big hug, and the duff door got squished. So we bear hugged the bear, which was fun. And then I had Jodie's photo op not long after, like it was like a 30-minute difference for me to kill. So I went and wandered killing time. I think I ended up going and getting a photo with some superhero cosplayers that are a part of a local charity where they go to like to the children's hospitals and like the different like charity runs, for like March of Dimes and that sort of thing. So I got some photos with some of the Avengers and maybe soon to be Avengers. I'm looking at you, Deadpool. And then I went and got photos with this gentleman brought his replica DeLorean and had it available for photos, which was,
that was
super
sweet.
cool. I'd never been inside a DeLorean before. So that was really awesome because I got to go and sit in the DeLorean and hold on to the steering wheel and, pretend like we're getting this baby up to 80 miles per hour. And this is a replica, like he has got it down to every single detail.
Nice.
So I got photos in the DeLorean, outside the DeLorean, the back side of the DeLorean. Then I got my picture in front of the DeLorean with Marty and Doc.
Very cool.
So that was really cool.
Awesome.
And then
you were still in the Time Buster cosplay,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
Which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought I had
mashup.
Yeah, I had to take my my pack off because he didn't want to risk damaging the car.
Right.
I wouldn't have been able to sit down in that thing anyway. So that was fine. But I still had the jumpsuit on, the goggles, and then the stuff, and of course I had the duff door with me. And Doc Brown and I were like, proper eye protection with our goggles. So that was fun. And then the local Ghostbusters group was right next door, and they had a Slimer set up for photo op. So I was like, finally, I get to use the wand. So I got a photo with the Slimer, and then one of the gals had spotted me earlier and commented on my outfit and how much she liked it, and then she saw me again. And then she was pointing me out to some of her fellow Ghostbusters. And this happens almost all of the time. And it happened several times while I was wearing this over the Friday evening and chunk of the day Saturday that I was in this thing, where I'd get somebody to be like, hey, nice outfit or nice cosplay or nice something along those lines. And then a second later, they'd be like, oh, that's really good, because they like the silhouette and everything screams Ghostbusters, which is the point. That was what I was trying to do. Is it's the Ghostbusters silhouette, but the coloring and everything is Doctor Who. So people see me and their brain immediately goes Ghostbusters, and then a second later the penny drops.
Like,
and I realize exactly what it is, and they go, oh. So I got that a lot. So the Ghostbusters group, a lot of them, they're like, oh, that's really cool. And then the one gal, she was like, she wanted pictures with me and of me, and then she wanted video. We were doing poses. I lent her one of my sonic screwdrivers so we could do different poses and stuff. So it was really fun. They're like, you're one of us. I'm like, damn straight I am. So that was fun. And then it was time for the photo op with Jody. So hop back in line. The photo ops are very much kind of cattle calls, where it's like, you step up, pose, the person readying the camera is like, smile or whatever, and you look and they flash, and she's good enough to, take a look at the back of her camera and make sure there's not anything weird, nobody's eyes are closed. If it's good, you go. If not, if something gets screwed up, they'll take it again. So you're not going to get stuck with a shitty photo if you accidentally like sneeze in the middle of it or something. So silly me, it gets to my turn, and of course I have Jody's Dr. Sonic as one of the three I have in my flight suit. So I pull out her Sonic and I'm like, hi. So she reaches in her back pocket and pulls out hers.
Oh, nice.
She already had it. Of course she did. And I'm sure it's probably hers from the show.
Right.
So we got to be Sonic twins in our photo.
Nice.
So yeah, that was cool. And then I went and had lunch with or after that I went to Chris Sprouse's table, who I'd actually met the day before, because Chris Sprouse is Zan's husband. He was there as one of the artist special guests because he's a professional comic book artist. He's done work with Marvel and Star Wars and stuff. So it's really cool because like I mentioned him at one point while I was hanging out with friends, and somebody's like, you know Chris Sprouse? Like they were really impressed that I knew Chris Sprouse, and I'm like, well, not really, but I'm really good friends with his wife.
Yeah.
So Zan wasn't there Friday. She had some family stuff.
Bummer.
But Chris was like, she'll probably be here tomorrow. And she did. We had, Charles, Zan, and I had a little text thread going, and she's like, yeah, I'll probably be there about 1. So I was like, great. So I'll come over to Chris's table as soon as I'm done with my photo with Jody. So I said we did, and then Charles came. So it's like, yay, the 3 of us finally get to meet. So, because I don't think actually Charles and Zan have ever actually got to meet face to face, even though they live kind of close to each other. It's just been one of those things where their paths they've not been able to cross. So it was just one of those things where it's like, Chris is at this con, so Zan's going to be there. And then Charles really wants to meet Jody. He and his wife really want to meet Jody Whittaker. So they're going to be here this day. So it's like, yay, we finally get to meet. So it was a nice little crossover. And of course, we got pictures and sent them to Nick, because Nick was like, if you don't take pictures after you all meet, then I'm going to kill you all. Via it's like, I will find some way to kill you all the way here from Italy.
Or I will call somebody in Minneapolis to help take care of this.
Yeah. I was like, I know people. He is Italian. He probably knows people in the mob. So yeah, so we've had good to meet. So it was cool. And so then I went and had lunch with Charles and his wife, because Zan, she'd already eaten, and she wanted to go to the Adult Swim panel anyway. So we had lunch, which was cool. We talk shop, podcasting and stuff, and about life, that kind of thing too. And then we parted ways because they needed to go get in line for Jody's autograph, because they were on a time crunch. Jody was only there that day. So
wow,
they needed it. But Charles did bring me a copy of the DC comic that he wrote one of the stories for, and he signed the cover for me, and it's the other cover.
Nice.
So I have both versions of the comic. I have both cover versions. It's just one of them is signed. So
nice.
But yeah, so it's the DC Terrors Through Time that came out in October. So I have that. And then I went and changed clothes because I was at that point. I
don't blame you.
I was I was like, I've been in this outfit. I wore it several hours yesterday, and then I've been in it for hours since this morning, and all sorts of stuff. So I was like, I'm gonna go put on regular clothes. So of course, Charles was easy to find because he was wearing a Next Stop Everywhere shirt. And I brought my 5-ish Fangirls sweatshirt with me. So I'm like, I'm going to put on my own merch.
There you go.
For the rest of the day. So I went back out and wandered the vendor floor, something I not really had an opportunity to do. And just kind of wandered around and did some shopping. Bought some things for myself, bought some things for Sasquatch for Christmas, so he'll have to wait. Maybe bought some presents for some other people.
Nice.
Thankfully, those family members I don't think listen, so they wouldn't have any idea. So yeah, it was my opportunity to go shopping. So that was nice. it struck me as funny until my brain catches up with myself, because it's like, I saw people that I knew. I saw a couple of cosplay photographers I knew, Michael Hoover, who is at a lot of the cons here, who does cosplay photography. He did my Miss Frizzle and Sixth Doctor portraits that I have. And then Wes, the portrait dude, I ran into him at one point, which was really cool because I had not seen him in ages. Like I said, I ran into Carl from PopCon. His was a working vacation, scoping out the competition, what to do and what not to do, in some cases. So that was cool. I saw some vendors that I recognized, that I'd seen either at PopCon or Gen Con recently. So I was like, wait a minute, I've bought from you recently and you don't really have anything new, so moving on. But good, it's nice to see some familiar faces. And then I managed to finally catch Karen Ashley at her booth. She was a last minute addition, and she was not able to make it Friday when they contacted her, because when I was waiting for her, she was talking to the people in front of me, and she's like, I told them I wouldn't be able to make it Friday, and they're like, that's fine, if you could be here Saturday, Sunday, great. So of course, for those who don't know, Karen Ashley, she played Aisha. She was the second Yellow Ranger after Trini left in the show. And she was in the 95 movie, of course. So of course I had to add her to my movie poster because I'm only missing the girls. Although I want to add Bulk and Skull to there as well, because they were in the movie too. They actually did a lot of work and were actually helpful in the movie, so they deserve to be on there as well. So I need to have Bulk and Skull whenever I see them at some point. Dear PopCon, we need to nudge and be like, hey, how about Bulk and Skull? You got some Rangers coming, but how about Bulk and Skull? Because they're usually a match set at conventions. So which would be really funny considering Chauncey and I dress as Bulk and Skull. That would be amazing. But unfortunately, since Chauncey was not going to be with me at this convention, Bulk and Skull was not going to happen with Aisha this time around, but hopefully in the future. So I got her to sign the poster, and I told her, I was like, the last time I had this poster out to have someone sign it, it was Jason David Frank. He was the last person to sign the poster.
Wow.
So, and of course, she was really open about talking about his loss. Obviously, people are going to bring it up. And she was like, sometimes your strongest friends are the ones that you need to keep in touch with. That, sometimes the strength is a cover for something. So, and then I guess she's going to meet up with several of the Rangers over the holidays, because the people in front of me, they're like, say something to one of the other guys, when you see them, and I don't know, tell them hi for them or something, because there were people who were like huge Ranger fans. They had all sorts of like vintage merchandise for her to sign, that they've been collecting over the years. And she's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna see him and a bunch of the others at Christmas time. She's like, yeah, or the holidays, we're gonna get together and have a barbecue and hang out and catch up and that sort of thing. So that was really cool. But yeah, she signed the poster for me, and as she was signing it, she's like, yeah, Jason, he's still here with us, and he knows we're all talking about him, which he would have loved.
For sure.
Yeah. So and then we did the more candid photo together in her booth, and she's got all the Ranger coins, and she doing the holding up her coin, obviously, and then people can choose whichever coin that they want, and we do the "it's morphin' time" pose, which was really cool. I ended up choosing the blue Triceratops because I do have a soft spot for Billy. So, and then I was like, "Can I give you a hug?" And she's like, "Absolutely." So I was like, I gave her like the strongest, firmest hug I could muster without breaking into tears, really. So but it was really nice to be able to connect with her and kind of have a moment where I'm sure she knew I was thinking about Jason, and I'm sure she probably was too. So but that was sweet. It's a little hard. There were several Power Ranger cosplays over the weekend, a couple White Rangers, a couple of Green Rangers. The first time I saw someone in a White Ranger costume, I kind of got choked up for a second there. So and unfortunately I missed the Jason David Frank tribute panel because it was at the same time as my Jodie Whittaker photo. Yeah. So as much as I would have liked to have gone to that at least for a little bit, even to just poke my head in for a few minutes, but the timing just didn't work out. But then Chauncey and he picked me up and we went to dinner. We went to a pizza place on the outskirts of town. Then we were looking for Christmas lights, and apparently those neighborhoods in that area are not Griswold inclined for when it comes to Christmas decorations. So it was kind of disappointing. Sorry.
That's too bad.
That neighborhood of Columbus, y'all's Christmas lights and Christmas decorations kind of suck. Just being awesome. Anyway, went back and fell asleep again. I really wanted to stay up because they were doing Rocky Horror Picture Show that night. And I really would have liked to have gone, but I just could not do it. My feet were screaming at me. My lower back was angry with me. I was just absolutely exhausted. I was in bed by like 10 both nights. I was just so tired. Plus I had to get all my crap together because we had to check out the next day and Chauncey was going to be in charge of that. So I had to make sure all my stuff was together so that he could take it and load it in the car because I wasn't going to be there to help him. So I had to be grown up and do more important grown up things than go have fun. So and then Sunday, I was casual, no cosplay, tennis shoes, my comfiest tennis shoes, which even still after a few hours did not matter. And I have this Marvel sweater cardigan that I bought secondhand online, so I have no idea where it originally came from. But I wore that because it has like among other characters, Iron Fist and Daredevil and Spider-Man on it. So I was like, well, I'm meeting Claire Temple and the Kingpin today, so this is very appropriate. So that's what I wore. And again, did some more shopping, bought some more presents for folks. He's not in the room, so still not gonna say what it is.
Don't blame you, because you never know when he's going to reappear back into the room.
Exactly. So they're already wrapped in under the tree.
Good.
Somehow managed to buy it, pack it, even though he already had the car packed, get it into the car and home wrapped in under the tree without him seeing anything, even though he was with me almost the entire time. When the minute I left the convention center. So
Rachel.
Word.
Stealthy you are.
I am. Again, the big giant bag came in handy.
Yes.
So still not worth the badge upgrade, I think, but I'll take it, at least this time around. So wandered the rest of the vendor floor because I knew where I had stopped, knew which aisles I had not been up and down yet. Caught some, managed to catch some photos of some cool cosplays. There was a guy in an Iron Man suit that was really cool. The Weird Al, the Weird Al Yankovic story of Weird Al and Madonna. I saw them from a distance and I ran up to them. I was like, oh my God, I love it. I have to have a picture. And of course they were, obviously they let me do it. And I was like, I love it. They're like, yeah, the people that have seen the movie totally get it. The people that haven't are very confused. Like, yeah, I can see that, but it was a very cool cosplay. And I went and visited the 501st and the Rebel Legion and their Mandos. I had asked some questions about Mandalorian armor specifically because I have an idea. So not Mando, but in general, Mandalorian.
Right. Yep.
It's like I told the gal I was talking to, it's like, I love the Mandalorian TV show, but when you Google Mandalorian armor now, it wants to default to Mando and not just Mandalorians in general. So thank you, Disney Plus. But so I got to ask some questions for potential cosplay idea that may or may not come to fruition in the future. We'll see. And then it was collecting autographs and a few more photos. So I got Vincent D'Onofrio's autograph, which was cool. I have if you've seen, I think I've posted pictures of it before. I have this Marvel canvas that says the word Marvel, and it's got like a lot of the heroes collaged in it that I bought at a ThinkGeek store when ThinkGeek decided to try to go brick and mortar for a half second. I bought it the year that Elizabeth Henstridge and Pom Clementif were going to be at PopCon, so it's a few years old. So they were the first people to sign it, and since then I've had Dave Bautista sign it. I've had why can I not remember his name? Mac from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, cool.
I can't remember. Why can I not? I'm tired. I can't. Names bad, gone. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. Shotgun X.
Yes.
So yeah, so I had him sign that. So of course I'm collecting MCU autographs essentially on that. So it's like, it's only appropriate. He's Kingpin. Let's get Vincent D'Onofrio. And he's like, well, where do you want me signing? And I was like, wherever you like. I was like, you've got all these, there's like, there's decent size images of like Captain America and Iron Man and Thor on there. I was like, who would Kingpin like to deface if he got the opportunity?
I'm giving you the opportunity right now.
And even the gal
next,
even his handler next to him, she's like, draw a mustache on Captain America. He didn't do it, even though I told him he could if he wanted to. But yeah, no, he signed it. And then I went and got Rosario Dawson signature on it too. She was super nice, super sweet. She was talking about how she was talking to the people in front of me, and she was telling them how she was, they just finished filming the Ahsoka TV series. It's gonna be on Disney Plus, and she's like, yeah, I'm dressed as a set. She's like, I'm in full costume. I'm on set in the Void, which if you've seen the behind the seen stuff on Disney Plus, about the Void, where they film where it's giant screens. So they're able to do a lot of, instead of matte painting back in the day where they literally, painted on big old canvases, now they can do a digital projection that does the same thing. but it can like move with them, you know, so it's way more realistic. So she's like, yeah, I'm in full Ahsoka, and they've got me positioned so my back's to the camera, so I'm facing the void. I got my lightsabers, one in each hand, and they say action, and I don't move. Because the void is, you know, there's props and stuff there too, and then the void had the image of wherever location they were in Star Wars at that point. And she's like I couldn't move because I was in Star Wars.
Right.
She just had this moment of like, holy shit, I'm in Star Wars.
This is actually happening.
Doesn't matter
I mean, I guess
how
it was, yeah, it was one thing to guess on, you know, like Book of Boba Fett and the like, but now she's like in her own series. So it's like,
doesn't matter how big of an actor you become, you still have
Mhm.
those moments where you're like, oh boy.
yeah,
this is
yeah.
happening.
So I thought that was hilarious. To hear her say that. She's like, yeah, I didn't move. I forgot my lines. I forgot everything. She's like, I'm in Star Wars. Yeah. But of course I had her sign my Marvel thing because yes, she is Ahsoka Tano, but she was Claire Temple first.
Yes, she was.
So she is part of the MCU.
Mhm.
So I had her sign that. And then it very conveniently I was able to collect a couple more MCU autographs, people that maybe aren't necessarily big names. You may not know them by name, but you'd probably maybe recognize their face. At least one of them you might. So Carrie Jones, who was actually he's also one of those MCU Star Wars folks, because he was in Book of Boba Fett. You remember, oh crap, I can't remember the name, the one super tall Wookiee.
Oh, yeah.
That was him. But he also, if you watched the Marvel special Werewolf by Night, he played Man-Thing
Oh, wow.
in Werewolf by Night. So of course that makes him part of the MCU. So I got his autograph. So he signed it, Man-Thing, aka Ted. And then James Urbanic, which he's one of those where he's like a character actor / voiceover artist. So he's done things like The Venture Brothers, which is a cartoon which I've never watched. He's been on The Office and some other things. But he was he had I wouldn't say prominence part, but he wasn't not just some random person in the background either, but he was a Roxxon scientist in a couple episodes of season 2 of Agent Carter.
Nice.
So I wanted him to sign that because I walked up to him and he's like, what do you want me to sign? I was like, well, you were in Agent Carter. So that officially makes you part of the MCU. So, I had it out, and he's like, I think you're the first person to have me sign something Marvel related. So that was pretty cool. But he was super nice. He's like, yeah, the set, he's like the sets. He was talking about how cool he thought the sets were, because obviously Agent Carter's set, it's a period piece. He was talking about how the set design and everything. It was just really cool to feel like you were back, in the late 40s. So that time period. So that was really cool. It was kind of cool to hear him say that he hasn't really had someone ask him to sign anything Marvel related. So that was cool. And then I got of course my photo with Rosario Dawson. She's adorable. She's tiny too. She's tall, but she's tiny. And then her photo op was like essentially back to back with the Vincent D'Onofrio. So it's like I got done with her and had like not a lot of time to kill, and I was back in life for Vincent D'Onofrio. And I got my photo with him. The Duff Door did not join because he found Kingpin very scary. No, he stayed behind where it was safe. But I I get up to Vincent D'Onofrio, and he's smiling, but I'm like, this is Kingpin. Granted, he doesn't look like really Kingpin at the moment, because he hasn't shaved his head. And I think they put on his Kingpin suit includes maybe not like a full-on fat suit, but some padding to make him bigger than he actually is, because he's not nearly as big as Wilson Fisk is on, because I've seen one of Wilson Fisk's suits at the Marvel exhibit, and there's no way Vincent D'Onofrio as a human being could fill that out as is. That probably has some filler of some sort. But I'm like, this is Kingpin, so I'm like, let's do something serious. So I cross my arms and I'm like trying to scowl, and he's like, you want me to be serious too? And I'm like, yeah, sure. So he looks, if you didn't know any better, if you look at the photo, it looks like maybe he's pissed off. And I'm sure at some point somebody's gonna be like, he's not smiling. And I'm like, he's Kingpin. I asked him not to. So I tried to be more serious, but I couldn't help it. I'm not very good with keeping a straight face, so I got a little bit of a smirk going on. But I tried to be as serious as my face will let me. But he did a good job of being serious. So, it's like, it's Kingpin. You're not gonna mess with him. So yeah. And then after that, I was done. Hopped in the car. I fell asleep. Chauncey drove the entire way home. He bought me Tim Hortons, which is awesome because they have Tim Hortons in Columbus. So came home with lots of souvenirs and photos and memories and Tim Hortons donuts. So I can't complain. So it was a really, really fun weekend. It was, obviously meeting all the celebrities is amazing. I understand, I recognize that I'm in a privileged position to be able to afford the time and the money to go to those sorts of things. So, not everybody can do that. So, but at the moment it's something I can do. So it's like, you sometimes these are ones, some people get to live vicariously through me. And also, in the future, as we've learned, unfortunately, with people like Jason David Frank and some others, that you just never know what can happen. So, if there's a celebrity that you really love, that's especially if they're part of something you really love, and the opportunity arrives for you to potentially meet them, even if it's just for a few minutes. I mean, my encounter with Jodie Whittaker, between the autograph and the photo, I maybe got 2-3 minutes with FaceTime with her total between the two. Ashley Eckstein, I talked to her for close to 10 minutes. So it's not always going to be, a 10-minute conversation or have your favorite doctor offer you his fingernail clippings. But,
there are still good stories to be had.
There are still good stories, and there's still, they're amazing memories that you cannot put a price on. So, if you can and you have the means, go, even if you feel like, oh, it's going to be awkward, or I'm going to be awkward, don't worry about it. You'll be fine. You're in good company.
It's okay. It's okay. Yeah. I inadvertently asked David Tennant to run away with me.
Yeah, exactly.
In front of my husband.
Yeah. So, you're in good company at these things. That was the one thing I took away from it. It was just like, I am in my element. I can be, and I talked with Ashley Eckstein about this. I'm like, I've been coming to conventions now solidly for almost 10 years now, and it's like I can wear the geeky clothing and carry around my teddy bear and geek out and get excited about this, that, and this, that, the other thing, and people are not going to be like, oh, what a weirdo. They're gonna be like, good for you.
They're all doing the same thing.
Exactly. So as much as I loved meeting the celebrities and stuff, the fact that I got to see some friends that I've not seen in a while, and also meet some friends for the first time that I've known for a while but I've never actually got to see face to face and actually give them hugs, and that sort of thing that's the important part, really. Though I said this on my personal Instagram post, and I was ad-libbing something that a gal that was near me in line for one of the photo ops said, when she was talking to the person next to her. She's like, this is the shot of endorphins that I needed to get through the rest of this year. And she's absolutely right. She's absolutely right. So a lot of fun. GalaxyCon, they put on really good show. So I'm definitely going to, it's still not PopCon. Obviously, PopCon has a very, very special place in my heart. And I will always wave the number one fan flag for PopCon. But as far as bigger shows that can do multiple shows throughout the year across different parts of the country and have more money and resources to pull in some pretty big names, it does not feel like it's a cash grab like some other shows I've been to. So it still has that very friendly, it feels like it could be smaller even though it isn't. Mm-hmm. So if that makes sense. So yeah. But anyway, I will have video. I will post pictures on our Facebook page of all the stuff once I get a hot minute to myself, because like came home, unloaded the car, ate dinner, passed out until my alarm went off this morning and it was time for work. So that was my weekend at GalaxyCon in Columbus, Ohio. So
fun.
Yep. So, all right, moving on real quick to feedback. Just got a little bit of feedback from Shalane. She says, Black Panther Wakanda Forever was good and emotional. I thought Shuri did an amazing job as the next Black Panther. Sorry, spoilers. She's my third favorite female of the MCU after Wanda and Peggy Carter. I was right. They were going to have the intro of Chadwick Boseman like we did when Stanley passed away. Well, you're smarter than me, Shalane, because that never even occurred to me. She said, it's funny that this blockbuster movie had blue people that lived underwater, and next month there will be another movie of blue people who are underwater.
Oh boy.
Granted, she sent this before it turned into December, so it's now this month there's going to be another blockbuster franchise with blue people that spend time underwater. But yeah. We'll see how Avatar Way of the Water does, because Black Panther Wakanda Forever has been kicking ass in the box office. Mm-hmm. So it will be interesting to see what Avatar does. And she says, I don't care what Disney does. I get excited for new things, and I do have guilty pleasures for some of the films that flop, as we all do. So now going back to Black Panther Wakanda Forever, since the first movie was nominated for Best Picture, maybe this movie will be nominated for Best Picture, because all three Lord of the Rings movies were nominated for Best Picture, and Return of the King won, and same for all three Godfather films, but only the first two won. Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, if the Academy has any brains, they'll nominate it for Best Picture.
Mm-hmm.
In my humble opinion.
Right.
But as we've learned on Gold Standard, the Academy does not always get it right. Why the third Godfather got nominated is beyond me.
Anyway. A certain phrase from Nick Fury
that kind of springs into mind.
Yep. And then she finishes, I'm also looking forward to Ironheart 2. That girl is a butt kicker actress. Very, very true. Yes. Riri Williams will definitely kick some serious butt when she returns. So, all right. Moving on to this week's main topic, which is Enchanted and Disenchanted.
Yes.
So it had been a while since I'd seen Enchanted, so it was kind of nice to be able
Same.
to like revisit and then be able to go immediately into the sequel.
Yeah. I
I think
for
I
me,
think that worked better, at least
Yeah.
for me. So
Same.
yeah, me too.
going into it, I had not seen or read the best reviews of Disenchanted. That being said, I actually kind of liked it.
Same here.
You know, I did too. I mean, the first like 15 minutes were kind of slow, but like once Edward and Nancy show up, give them the wand, it's like, oh, now we're into, Enchanted mode. And like when Enchanted came out in 2007, I went and saw it, loved it, because we were in that point of, the Disney animated movies really were, they were kind of in another slump. And Shrek had been out and parodied Disney and all those sorts of things, and then here was Disney making fun in a loving way
Of themselves.
of themselves, and not in like, ew, those princesses are so dumb and they're so they're so weak, they're so this, they're so that, it's so old fashioned. It's like, no, it actually celebrates getting your happily ever after, and having that optimism, which is one of the reasons why I liked Once Upon a Time so much, was I like that fairy tale kind of story, and that is something Disney does very, very well. And it's not like, it's not unrealistic. It's not in an unrealistic sense like so many people criticize the princess fairy tale stories, but it's in a way that it's like, yeah, there are bad things that happen in life, but you got to look for the good thing. And I think that's sort of the message of it, I guess. And I love in the second movie how Morgan, she's a teenager, she's surly, she's we've all been there. And they move to a new place and everything, but then the fairy tale stuff starts happening, and she's like, oh, I still love this stuff. It's kind of like, you go through that phase in your life, you're like, oh, I don't like the things I liked when I was a little kid. Ew, yucky, get away from me. And then you get older, you're like, oh, I miss those things. You have a nostalgia for it, and it's so nice, and it's so uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And then also my other favorite part was the song "Batter," the villain off between Amy Adams and Maya Rudolph. And I'm like, this is so hilarious, because we've never, I don't know, I haven't seen any of like the Descendants movies, but we've never really had like the wicked stepmother facing off against evil queen or something like that. And it was just so fun and so funny, and I loved it.
Well, and then Alan Tudyk voicing the scroll.
The scroll.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I was just like, I know that voice.
Like, of course you did.
Wait a minute.
Like, here you are. Yeah, I'm like, maybe this wasn't. I mean,
yeah.
I don't want to say it's like, oh, it's the best thing ever, but putting it on streaming, not a bad idea.
No. Yeah. Well, what I like both with Enchanted and this is like you have some of the princess tropes, like the being able to sing and call upon her animal friends to help her when she's in need. In like the first movie, it's to clean the Robert's apartment, but she's in the middle of New York, so the only creatures available to her are rats, pigeons, and cockroaches.
Right.
Which I love. I love that.
It's kind of just the
Mhm.
cockroaches. You know me, I can't stand bugs.
Mhm.
I mean,
Even
it's
ones that sing and
disgusting.
dance, it's a little gross. Although, you know, if I could just sing a few bars and have cockroaches clean the film off of my tub, then I might be game, actually.
Uh-huh. Right there with you.
So, yeah,
Like whoever shows up, great. Come clean the
right.
bathroom, please.
Yeah. So, you know, and she's got the evil stepmother, but it's not her stepmother, it's the prince's stepmother.
Which is a nice little twist.
Right. And then she turns into a dragon, but she doesn't take the princess, she takes Robert, you know?
Right.
Which at first she was going to take the princess, and Robert's like, over my dead body. And, you know, obviously this guy, he is not a fairy tale hero. He is totally out of his element. So, you know, but, you know, they just realize like, oh, you know, we've fallen in love, you know, and all this. And so, of course, he's going to be the hero without really thinking it through at first,
Mm-hmm.
which is, you know, still kind of funny, but
Yeah.
but also very sweet.
Mm-hmm. And then two, it took me a little bit, but the henchman in the first one that did the Queen's evil bidding just happened to be the same actor who played Wormtail in Prisoner of Azkaban. I'm like,
Yep.
typecasting, okay.
Mhm.
Although he gets better.
Yes, he does.
Gets better. Nathaniel realizes after watching a soap opera of all things,
Mhm.
starring Belle's voice actor
With Paige O'Hara.
Yeah, Paige O'Hara in a cameo. I mean, that's my favorite part of this. It's like, yeah, they're making fun of Disney princess tropes, but then they actually get the Disney princesses to be in it, because Jodie Benson is Robert's, you know, receptionist at his office, and I think
they play a little bit of Part of Your World when Giselle was playing with the fish tank.
Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Then when Edward's finally gets to the apartment building, starts knocking on doors, the first one that opens is his mom, who's like hairs and curlers, and she's a mess, and she's surrounded by kids, and she's like, "You're too late," and it's the singing voice of Pocahontas.
Yeah, and I think I'll have to look it up. I think the reporter, because after the whole thing at the pizza restaurant,
She is named after three princess actresses.
Okay. I was like, there's something about her. I can't remember.
Yeah, because the news reporter's name is Mary Eileen Castellotti. And so Mary is Mary Costa, who is the voice of Aurora, Eileen Woods, who is the voice of Cinderella, and Adriana Castellotti, who was the voice of Snow White.
Yep.
There you go.
Nancy's last name is Tremaine.
Yeah.
Which is Lady Tremaine, the stepmother from Cinderella.
Which is fitting in a way, because, you know, she's going presumably to be Morgan's stepmother, but she's not an evil stepmother. I mean, I think if that's the best part about this is, like, you know, Nancy and Edward, they kind of get dumped, sort of, but it's not like they're you know, they aren't bitter about it.
Right.
In fact, they actually go off and be the king and queen of Andalasia anyway, so it all works out.
Yeah, because this is before Frozen, before Idina Menzel would go, "You can't marry a man you just met."
Right. Yeah.
Which I really love, because, you know, at first Robert kind of, you know, because he gets that book for Morgan, and it's like, you know, here's all these ladies like Madame Curie and Rosa Parks from history, and, you know, they weren't princesses, but they were still important, and, you know, said she died of radiation poisoning. She died?
Yeah.
But I
mean, Madame Curie was around years ago. She would have been dead by this point anyway.
True.
That was just really funny. So you know, he's trying to prep Morgan to, like, well, you know, Nancy, you know, she's a very grounded, very real world woman. But then it turns out Nancy's like she's got a romantic streak in her, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, the doves bring the flowers, and she's just like, oh, I love it. And then you know she goes and becomes a fairy tale queen. So you know she's still
Yeah.
she's still got a little
And
whimsy in her.
Now, according to Idina Menzel, she actually appreciated this, but the fact that you hire Idina Menzel for a Disney musical movie and
Yeah.
don't have her sing it all during the first movie.
Right.
Yeah, that was a thing. Although I think there was a song planned, but then it was cut.
Yes.
Which you know, which is good in the second one that they actually do have her sing.
A couple
Yes.
of times, actually.
A couple of times. So
The
they're like,
second
here, we're
one.
making up for it now.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
I think
understand
Susan Sarandon was supposed to have a song too, and it got cut, which, I mean, she can sing, and she was in Rocky Horror.
Mhm.
So I don't know how much singing she's done, you know, between the two, but I mean, she can carry a tune. At least she could back in the 70s. So,
Yeah,
oh, but
it is just
yeah, it's just like, you know, when you get the guy gets captured by the Evil Queen, and like you have this whole thing of Giselle starting out literally as a cartoon, and then it gets popped into the real world. And this is the first time that Disney has done live action and animation together since Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's been a hot minute.
and
but
I remember right when this came out, they were like, oh crap, we need to resurrect the 2D animation department because they really hadn't done much with it.
And actually,
You know,
Disney
really
was not who did the animation.
Oh, of course
It was actually done by another source. Why, I do not know, but yeah, the Disney animation department did not do the animated sequences. But I mean, she starts out still looking like a cartoon character, you know, with this huge wedding dress, which weighed like 45 pounds. And was just obnoxious to try to move around in.
not. Oh, I'm sure.
Amy Adams said it felt like she was in traction because like all the weight was on her hips. So her stunt double had to teach her how to move.
Wow.
So,
we were watching it. We were watching it Saturday night, I think. Yeah, and Lottie was there, and I was like, "Look, it's the princess," and she was just she just kind of stared at that dress the whole time. I don't know what she's thinking. Like, just that's a very poopy dress.
yeah, but then because a lot of times you have, in fairy tales and obviously Disney, you have the average girl that becomes a princess, and here you have a girl that we don't get we don't really get any Giselle's backstory till the second movie, where we find out that she was abandoned as a baby in the woods and was raised by animals.
There's a little bit of Jungle Book in there.
A little bit.
Mm-hmm. It kind of explains some of the things from
she's a
first
peasant.
movie.
She's a peasant who almost becomes a princess, but because she looks like a princess when Morgan first sees her, Morgan immediately is like, oh, she's a princess, who turns into a regular everyday person. She does not marry the prince. She marries a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like Giselle never really gets the princess arc, but she still has the yeah, and she still has the a lot of those tropes. The way she speaks, because like when she starts turning into evil stepmother in the second movie, her voice changes. Gets a little deeper and a little, her movements change. I'm here talking and I'm doing like all of these like whimsical hand movements because I can't help myself because she's just like the very princess hand gestures, the royal wave, elbow, elbow, wrist, wrist, sort of thing. But then when she starts to go evil, she even points it out. She's like, my hair is so big and my dress is so low.
Yep. Just to have the long flowing curly hair just going down her back, or the pretty flower dresses, or any of that. But one thing, like going back to Enchanted, like I always love, and I noticed this first, even from the first time I saw it, that like they have the king and queen ball, and like everybody's in the fancy, I guess, Regency era fairy tale sort of outfits, and then she comes in and she's in a very modern, sheath dress, and her hair is smoothed down and everything, because she and Morgan went shopping. It was an emergency. And it's very interesting. Like now everybody else is dressed as fairy tale characters, but now she's dressed as a real world person. And it's just kind of an interesting contrast with everything going on around them. So I really love that scene. And the song, it just, that they dance to, it's just like, oh, I love it. I'm such a romantic at heart. I just am.
Yeah. Apparently Patrick Dempsey can't dance, unlike Robert, who just said he doesn't, and crushed Amy Adams' toes several times before he finally got his handle on the choreography.
Oh man. Well, I mean, he did good.
Oh yeah.
They made him look good, so that's great.
So McDreamy, not Fred Astaire by any means.
Right, yes.
So no. Apparently he caused quite a ruckus when they were filming around New York City. Because this was the height of McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy, so oh yeah, it would when they combination of especially when they were filming How Does She Know, that entire thing, which 5-minute song and dance sequence took them over 2 weeks to film, because one, New York weather would not cooperate. They got 7 days with sunshine. But apparently McDreamy's fans were intrusive as well.
Oh dear.
Oh my.
Like, come on, we're trying to film a show-stopping number for a Disney movie. Do you mind?
Yeah, really. Yeah. So but yeah. And then I mean, obviously the first movie ends, they live happily ever after. And then we get the sequel, which is years and years later, and Pip is all like trying to explain to his kids that happily ever after doesn't mean nothing happens to, because his kids are all like, no, and you live happily ever after, and then nothing interesting happens to you for the rest of your life.
And you're like, well, not exactly.
Even Pip was like, well, I'm not even too proud about my involvement in this one, but I'm gonna tell you this story anyway. So
honestly, I was not expecting Pip to turn into basically Lucifer the cat.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Like all of that stuff about, she's the evil stepmother, so here's her minion. She doesn't have nice little chipmunks.
Yeah.
As her sidekick, she gets this awful cat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that is amazing.
And just when
I don't know.
Just when I saw him start turning to the body type, I'm like, yep, they're going for the Lucifer.
Like, I had no expectations for this movie. I kind of was like,
I didn't either.
Yeah, I was like, well, we'll see. I mean, it's on Disney Plus. It's not like I have to go out to the theater to see it, so it's fine.
I was pleasantly surprised though, so.
Yes, I was too. I really enjoyed it. It was a fun one.
Again, it subverts your expectations by taking the tropes and then messing with them a little, because I mean,
but not in a way that's like, offensive or belittles the characters or makes them into something
or
that
makes
they're
it super
not,
cheesy,
or to make it super cheesy.
or which it could potentially could have done as well. I mean, when you get down to brass tacks with the story, we don't really have a villain.
No, we don't.
Not really.
Because
It's more the situation.
Yeah, it's the situation. Because I mean, Giselle, yeah, she starts to turn into the evil stepmother and does some of the evil stepmother things, but they're eventually able to bring her back.
Yeah, and she's trying to fight it off.
Right.
And
at the same
Morgan
time, you've got Malvina, who, was kind of a bitch before Giselle made her wish, but she wasn't necessarily evil.
Right.
And then she just became the evil queen based on the premise of Giselle's wish.
Yeah.
And then once they fix everything, she apologizes.
Yes. Which I thought was lovely because so many times, I mean, it is, when you have, the mean girl squad in a story, you're like, and they're just so awful throughout the whole thing. You're just like, oh, you just want them to get their comeuppance. You're just waiting for it. But in this case, it's more like, we've all learned a valuable lesson. So let's, let's not be, let's all be neighbors. Let's be friends. Let's make a space on the committee for Giselle to come do her, her M&M forest or whatever it was.
Yeah. And I mean, in everything that Giselle did, she was trying to help Morgan adjust and feel better, because she knew Morgan was not happy with them upping and moving.
Right. Well, and I mean, Giselle tells Morgan at one point, she's like, I know what it's like to have, to be in a new place, and it's all strange and different. And I mean, she's not just saying that just to like be nice. I mean, she literally knows what it's like because she's been through this.
Yeah,
right.
And
it's like,
Morgan was there.
Remember when you took me shopping? That was my first time in New York.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, Morgan is just very much being your stereotypical teenager.
So. Which, that is very realistic. We've all been there. We all remember being teenagers and just how it was like, and all of that. So, I cut her some slack on that. And then you move, and
your entire life gets upended. And
although I will say, I'm like, what? Did they say why they had to move so quickly? I mean, the house wasn't even ready.
I don't know. And the fact that they are like, oh yeah, we've already pushed it off 3 times. So like,
right.
But you got people still working on it. It's like, you can wait a while and wait for them to finish everything. That's okay.
Yeah. I don't know if they were like, because it's kind of hard to tell what like time of year it's set. So maybe they were trying to get Morgan into the new school at a not awkward time. Maybe,
I don't know.
That could be.
Like, that was one of my complaints. Like I said, the first 15 minutes, I was like, that part kind of was like, oh, why are you moving now? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then it's basically just to get the plot moving. So that's really what it is. Then they get into it. I'm like, okay, well, as long as you're entertaining me with all the sparkly fairy tale stuff, I'm fine.
And there was definitely sparkly fairy tale stuff.
Yeah, it's like in pitch meeting when they go, so the movie can happen. Fair enough.
Because plot.
Yep. Well, and at least too, another good thing is Sophia didn't become the main target of the story, which I was kind of a little nervous about after the wand was gifted to her. I'm like, oh boy. Yeah.
And they're like singing this song and like, you're a true daughter of Andalasia, and then cut to Morgan and like, can you make it any more awkward?
Right.
Oh gosh. Like, this
again, subverting expectations.
Yes.
Which I'm glad that they did. So, but there's still if if anything else, these are definitely movies that you could just have on in the background because I mean the music is catchy. The villain song is definitely quite fun. But if you are actively paying attention, I don't know if it's because more time has passed or what, but it seems like there were way more Disney references in this one and then in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or maybe I was just more observant in this
That could
one.
be.
Well, I think in this one they had more musical numbers that had the big all the things, so they could do more with that in the live action part. Like the song that Morgan sings, it's like, oh yeah, you're Belle in this scene. Or
Yet at one point she's climbing up some boxes and then there's a splash of water behind her like the Little Mermaid.
That too. Yeah, they just worked them in there.
Yeah.
And then the Cinderella moment with the dress in shreds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So I think they just kind of went for it more with this one because they're like, well, we're doing, the live action fairy tale stuff. So I'm like,
although unless I missed it, they did miss an opportunity to for a reference, because I think it's during the villain song when Maya Rudolph is coming up with her plan, and we see she's got like the spinning wheel and a poison apple, and at one point she opens a cabinet and there's like bottles, and it's like the drink me bottle from like Alice in Wonderland. But I really was like, come on, where's the poison for Cuzco in this cabinet?
Yes, with the llama.
Why is there not a bottle with a partially falling off llama sticker on it?
I'll have to go back and look and see if there is one.
Yeah.
I think it's there. It's just behind everything.
Yeah.
When they set it up, they're like, oh well, here, let's just kind of go in the back, and if you see it, great. Whatever. The big thing about this movie is they could have gone just so utterly Disney Channel movie cornball with this, and it kind of walks that line, but it doesn't go over it, and it's still like, yeah, we didn't cheap. This isn't a cheap cash grab, although an argument could be made. But we actually took care to tell the story, to be true to the characters to a degree. I mean, they kind of wrote Robert out, although with the way the plot was, I don't know what you would have had him do until the end anyway.
Right. And who knows, this could have been his return to Grey's Anatomy at the time, if memory serves. Who knows?
That's what happened with why Edward's not in it a whole lot, is because James Marsden was filming like 2 other things at the same time.
Yeah. But that's why the excuse that he stays behind is kind of flimsy, but it's like, oh, they probably couldn't get him to film, so they could just get him to, do voiceover and call it good.
Yep. It's like, it's really convenient that all of the stuff in fairy tale land is all animated, because then you don't actually need the actors on set. You can just put them in a recording booth and then animate thusly.
Yes.
So yeah, that worked out well. So that's one of the reasons, though, that Giselle has never been made an official Disney princess, because all the rest of the Disney princesses don't look like they're voice actresses. They may still have like a little bit maybe in their look, like they may take a little bit of like facial stuff, but they don't look exactly. Giselle looks exactly like Amy Adams, which means they would have to have the rights to Amy Adams' look, her image, for the rest of her life.
Wow.
Which, I get it. It's all a business, but it's like, it would have been nice to have her like as one part of the lineup, just because like she is just sort of she is like the tribute to all of the great Disney princesses. She's kind of the homage, the ultimate homage to all of it. And it just, yeah, between Amy Adams' acting and the dancing and her costumes and the animation, the animated parts where she's, the animated version, it just, it's like it all just kind of puts you in that mindset of these are all the amazing princess movies that Disney is so good at, that
She
we all
embodies
love.
it just so well.
Yes. And and she could have been, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen any interviews with her where she talks about Enchanted, because I mean, I've seen her in other things, and very serious, like in Superman and that kind of stuff, and in serious roles. But she just looks like she's having a blast with it. In both movies, she's just having a really, really good time, and I'm like, man, it's like you own it, girl. Just own it. It is so much fun.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those where it's like, yeah, this is one of those movies where it's like, it's not necessarily groundbreaking in any way.
No, and it's
but
not, it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, but it doesn't take itself so seriously, so you can just have fun.
Mm-hmm. And it is a fun movie, and it's not mean spirited. It's not, wagging your finger at the genre and like, oh, how dare you like this? It's like, here's all the tropes we love. Some are a little goofy, but that's why we love them.
Yeah,
and it tells a good story, and there it goes.
It's like, remember all the reasons why you love these things?
Yes.
Here it all is in one happy package. I mean, obviously, especially with the first one, you've also got, some decent bodies working on it as well. You've got the guy that directed it, Kevin Lima. He also did like the Goofy movie.
Oh yeah.
Which, of course we love. So
and that's another one. It's like, oh, you could have just been so, you could have just made fun of it in a really mean way, but it's like, no, this is the character that we love, and here's how we put him in a different situation. So it kind of makes sense. He's the one who directed this.
Yeah, you got Alan Menken doing the music,
which I think is amazing.
Yeah,
him and Howard Ashman were the ones who brought about the Disney fairy tale musical
Renaissance.
Renaissance. And so, you got the guy who worked on the originals, and he's working on something that's an affectionate parody, and it's like, yep, it's got, stamp of approval.
Yeah, and Steven Schwartz also helped as well. So
yes. And he's no slouch in the
nope.
in the musical theater
department. Yeah. Godspell, Pippin, Wicked, again, Idina Menzel. So
it's a fun one. It's, both these movies are a lot of fun. I didn't think that Enchanted needed a sequel, and I know we're all kind of like, oh, we got to reboot everything, and it gets kind of tiresome, especially if they don't do it very well. But this one, the fact that it's on streaming and they didn't send it to the theaters, that helps for sure. But it's just fun, put it on while you're, decorating the Christmas tree or making Christmas goodies or whatever, and just enjoy it, or watch it with your kids if you got kids, or
just turn on the soundtracks.
Just turn it on. I mean, the music is still fantastic. All right, watch it back to back if you haven't watched it in a while. That's basically what I did this weekend. I watched the first one on Saturday, and then I was making some Christmas goodies yesterday. I was like, oh, I'll put it up.
Yeah,
I can watch it while I'm doing this.
Obviously,
it was a good time.
I was a little busy this weekend, but I watched them back to back this morning. So, I was working on emails for work. So doing some paperwork type stuff for work, whereas like I'm just copying and pasting stuff into one thing into another. So it's like it's busy work. So it's really, so that's the type of thing you kind of want to have on in the background.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I doubt we'll get another one.
Yeah, I don't think we need another one.
I don't see why we would need one. So, but yeah, it's I think as far as sequels is concerned, especially because it's been so much time. So I think in universe it's been like 10 years, but out here obviously it's been 15. That enough time has passed that it kind of makes sense. Like, oh, what have these characters been up to since then? And it gives us a bit more mythology, how the magic is connected, from the real world to, the fairy tale world. So, and I think after, coming after we've had a series like Once Upon a Time,
right?
It also, I think, is a little appropriate, and we have things like the Descendants and stuff where they're taking these well-known Disney characters and changing them around a little. So yeah, I think, all things considering, I think this is, it's a I don't know if appropriate it's a right word I'm looking for, but it's
solid.
Yeah, it's solid. It does not feel like just a cash grab. I mean, they could have easily, they obviously took the time. Granted, this sequel actually has been in production, air quotes, since like 2010. So they've been it's been in development hell for 12 years. So
the fact that it got made at all.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm sure the fact that they have Disney Plus now, they have a streaming service to put it on. I think that probably helped.
That I'm certainly that helped. But it's obvious that they made sure they wrote a script that, like you were saying, Chrissy, they're true to the characters. They don't feel like they have completely, like they don't get who the characters were, and it's believable that this is where the characters could be after all this time.
Yeah, and they don't just rehash the first one like some sequels I could name.
Yeah, like we don't have a villain in this one. We just have a unfortunate circumstance.
Yeah.
Brought on by good intentions of all things.
Right.
So
yes. And wishes go awry. That is
oh yes.
That is true, that is well and truly established in the lore of wishing.
You've got to be careful what you wish for.
There's always a fine print. And,
I mean, it kind of comes yeah, well, and it also kind of comes full circle because Giselle ended up in New York the first time, at the very beginning, because granted it was the evil queen in disguise, but she's like, it's your wedding day. You should make a wish because it's the most magical day of your life. So Giselle is in the middle of making a wish when she gets pushed out of her realm into New York City. So it's like this whole thing with her started with a wish and then continues with a wish. So I thought that was kind of a nice little
twist on it.
Yeah.
So it all works out.
Yeah.
Although I do love at the end when Edward and Nancy come back and they're like, "Here's a plate where it will give you anything you want to wish to eat." Are we sure that's all it does?
Yes. Why don't you do the wishing this time?
Why did they think that giving a magical wishing wand to a baby?
I don't know. I kind of got the feeling like you should put this away until she's old enough to understand it.
Right. Like if it had maybe if it had just come from Edward, I could understand because Edward's kind of stupid.
Right.
He kind of is that good looking, kind of not so bright prince trope, but he means well.
Yes.
But Nancy she's not stupid.
No.
No. But she
And
definitely
so-
gets caught up in all of the fairy tale wow and all, which
yeah,
is very sweet.
I think there's probably something in the water or something, because it's like when Morgan lands there and they find the tree, and is it that, or is it somewhere, or is it earlier when they're delivering the wand and Nancy starts to sing and she's like, does everybody have to break into song? Can nobody just talk? And Giselle is like, nope. It's like, does anyone just speak words? She's like, not if we can help it.
Goody.
So, but it was nice to finally hear Idina Menzel sing, and the fact that she
Oh,
gets
yeah.
a couple of opportunities to sing,
Oh, yeah.
is
And she
nice.
sings in the end credits too, so it's
Yeah.
like, okay, you made up for not. I mean, I know she's like,
This
was
is
appreciative of-
post Frozen too, so it's
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
I mean, she was a well-known Broadway actress. Like Wicked was a huge thing in 2007.
oh yeah, I mean, Wicked
Oh,
opened
yeah.
in like 2003 or
Yeah.
something like that. So yeah,
I mean, I like every. I was.
I mean,
just
Stephen Schwartz
graduated college.
did Wicked, so
Well, I had just graduated college that summer of 2007. So
Yeah.
like everybody I knew at college, like they all had the Wicked soundtrack. Everybody listened to it. We all had the CDs
Oh,
in our
yeah.
cars.
yeah.
And it was just so it's like you have Idina Menzel and you don't have her sing, and it's a musical, but yeah.
But like I
they
said,
made up for it.
Idina actually appreciated that in the first movie. She was like, finally, I could just be an actress.
Yes. Yeah, I did see that, which I can respect. I can totally understand.
Yeah.
But, but then she gets to do both in the second one. So it all works.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, until they bust Elsa out for something else, just gotta do something.
Right.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be another Frozen project. There always is.
Yep.
I like Frozen. I just don't like all the oversaturation of it. That's another story.
Yeah. We'll give Frozen its day one of these episodes.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about, or are we good?
We're good. We're good. It's cute. I liked it.
Yeah.
I don't see what all the fuss is about. Like, is it perfect? Is it absolutely amazing? No. But it's cute. It's fun. I mean, it's just one of those where it's like you got a couple hours to fill, and you just kind of want something a little fluffy that doesn't require a lot of brain power. This is definitely it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I've said several times in this podcast, like if it had been in theaters, where you'd have to actually go to it and see it and spend all that money on tickets and concessions and stuff. Yeah, I could see where you'd be a little upset, like, oh, this isn't that great a movie, but it's on streaming, so
yeah, it's definitely stream worthy.
Yeah, it's streaming is the new like direct to DVD or direct to TV whatever sort of thing, and it's fine. Put it on, enjoy it. It's the Christmas season, while you're doing all your hustle and bustle and whatever, or over Christmas break, pop it in and pull it up and enjoy it. Yeah, that's all. It's inoffensive. You might actually have some fun with it.
Yep.
So anyway, well, if any of our listeners have seen either Enchanted or Disenchanted and want to chime in with their thoughts, or anything else we talked about on the podcast, you can drop us a line in our feedback. Our email address is fivishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, which is the the 5ish female. I can talk, guys. Sorry, I can say the 5ishfangirls.com. That's our website. Holy cow. And that's where you find links to all our social media stuff, to our Patreon, to our merch shop. Like if you leave comments on Facebook or Instagram or any of those places, we'll treat that as feedback and read that out. And obviously you can see the pictures from Rachel's adventures at GalaxyCon, so check that out as well. And hope you all are doing well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support and all your support. That's all. We love you guys and hope you're doing well as 2022 winds down slowly.
Mhm. Absolutely.
Mhm.
All right. So with that, we shall not sing because nobody
No.
wants to hear that. But we shall definitely sign off this week. God, I'm tired.
This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City saying goodnight, and no, I have not turned into a toad. So it feels
This
like
is Holly from Wisconsin saying good evening, and I haven't turned into a pumpkin yet.
And this is Rachel in Indianapolis, Indiana. Never fear! We will come up with something very smart at the very last minute that solves all our problems. You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. You can find more episodes and information at thefivishfangirls.com. Any and all books, movies, games, and any other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied. If you wish to support the show, the easiest way is to leave us a rating and review. More ratings and reviews will make it easier for others to find the show. If you wish to support us monetarily, you can do so at patreon.com/5ishfangirlspodcast. All money goes towards fees and equipment to keep the show going. For official Five-ish Fangirls merchandise, visit redbubble.com/people/5ishfangirls. We love hearing from our listeners and encourage feedback. You can email us at fiveishfangirls@gmail.com. You can also like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/5ishfangirls. Thank you so much for listening, and may the squee be with you.